Coming up on the Flatland Sports Podcast, we preview the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions in Lubbock this Saturday. We'll also take a look around the Big 12 at each of the games happening this weekend. Also, the Big 10 is trying to ruin college football for everyone else. We'll discuss that and more.
And now,
what is this?
I know you're gonna dig this.
This is the Flatland Sports Podcast.
Where do you come from? Lubbock, Texas?
Lubbock, Texas.
A place called Lubbock.
I wonder if they think I'm so gorgeous back in Lubbock.
What do you care about Lubbock? You're big time now.
I'm just a little homesick, that's all.
Is that what you want, Larry, to spend the night in Lubbock, Texas at a day's end with a $15 voucher from Cinnabon?
Lubbock? No, it's near Lubbock.
What's it like there?
It's flat, real flat. You stand on a coffee can, you can see Colorado.
Happy Thursday. This is the Flatland Sports Podcast. Free and available everywhere you get podcasts from. That's YouTube and Spotify. We're working on getting Apple Podcasts online as well. My name is Christopher Johnson. The garage door is shut today as part of your door report, the official door report. No sponsor yet. We have a lot to cover. We'll be previewing Arkansas Pine Bluff, who is coming into town. They are coming into town because football will be played in 2 days. Just 2 days before Red Raider action starts and hopefully continues until the end of June. And we'll also be previewing the rest of the Big 12 as well. Also, a report came out by Brett McMurphy that the Big 10 is at it again, trying to ruin college football for everyone. We'll discuss that and more. But first, Red Raiders in action. And there was actually no Red Raiders in action this week since the last episode. This will be the last time I have to say that too, as Texas Tech was supposed to play SMU last night at 7. They did not. I did not see the reason why. They will play SMU tonight at 7. Red Raiders look to get back on the win column after dropping their last match to the University of San Francisco 2-0. But we will move on to the main point of the episode today, which is Arkansas Pine Bluff. They are coming into town. Texas Tech opens up the 2025 season this Saturday against Arkansas Pine Bluff from Jones AT&T Stadium. That is a 6:30 kickoff. You can watch that game on ESPN Plus or listen to the Texas Tech Sports Network. Brian Jensen, John Harris, and Chris Level will be on the call all season long. It will be a red-out game, so please don't be that person who refuses to participate just because you don't like being told what to do. Wear red, be there, be loud, save your energy for other things. We need you for Cracker Barrel. Texas Tech, they announced they'll be wearing white helmets, red jerseys, red pants, a.k.a. the Xavier White combo. Now, Arkansas Pine Bluff, they are the Golden Lions. This is the first time Texas Tech has played them in football ever. The Red Raiders did play them in basketball last season. That was a game that they won 98-64. Their head coach is Alonzo Hampton, the former Louisiana Monroe player. They hail, of course, from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. They are a member of the SWAC conference, which is in the FCS. Now, last season, they went 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play. They had a decent offense. They were 5th in the SWAC in scoring. However, 11th, right near the bottom of the SWAC in overall defense. Now, the key players to focus on, Christian Peters. He is the quarterback transfer, came from Shaw University out of the D2 ranks. Last season threw 2,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns. Problem is, he may not actually be the starter as far as we know. As head coach Alonzo Hampton announced that he will not be announcing a quarterback until game time. It will be a game time decision. More than likely, Christian Peters will be the guy, unless there's an injury, unless there's just something I don't know about. Regardless of who trots out there, the biggest issue for the Golden Lions is that they will need some of their transfers to step up that they picked up, as they lost their star receiver over the offseason to the transfer portal, Giovanni Gibson, who transferred to Oklahoma. On top of that, the Golden Lions are very weak at the offensive line and defensive line. And I don't mean weak by Big 12 standards. I don't mean weak by FBS standards. I mean weak by SWAC standards. So all in all, to say they're really just not a very good team. And I hate saying that about a Texas Tech opponent. I want to respect all opponents, and I do respect the Golden Lions. But when you compare that to an ACU who came in last season and took Texas Tech to a 52-51 overtime game, ACU had a ton of former Texas Tech players. They had Maverick McIver at quarterback. Former Texas Tech defensive coordinator Keith Patterson was the head coach. And they actually went on to win a conference championship last season with the United Athletic Conference. So much different situation than what we have coming into Lubbock on Saturday. Now, Texas Tech, the key players that we really want to watch that I'm interested. First of all, Baron Morton. He is back from a shoulder injury. He should be, as Joey McGuire said, as close to 100% as he's ever been. We'll have a chance to see how much he's really improved over the offseason. We'll have Will Hammond as well, who was also injured last season. If all things go the way I expect them to go, we'll see Will Hammond tried out in the second half, maybe even early in the second quarter. But I definitely want to see where Will Hammond has progressed over the offseason and what he looks like, as he will be the guy if anything happens to Baron Morton, and he'll be the guy next season as well. Also, it's not a specific player, but I really want to see the offensive line in general. It was so weak last season that it kicked off an entire cosmic shift in college football after Cody Campbell promised a fan that he will buy an offensive line for the Red Raiders. So what I want to see are absolutely no sacks. I want to see consistent running lanes opened up. I want to see the offensive line absolutely manhandle the Golden Lions. On the other side of the ball, I'm interested to see what newcomers like David Bailey will do. I really, though, want to see how the defense as a whole functions under Sheil Wood, specifically at the cornerback and safety positions in the backfield. I want to see no miscues. I want to see no blown coverages. Those sorts of things cost you games under Tim DeRuyter last season. So we'll move on to the keys of the game, and there's no keys. It's Arkansas Pine Bluff. I want to see total domination. I want to see something that we've missed, by the way, from the previous season openers. I want to see you absolutely destroy the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions on all possible sides of the ball. I want to see the four stringers out at halftime. I want to see the equipment staff suit up and play a few minutes in the fourth quarter. That's how bad I want to see Texas Tech beat Arkansas Pine Bluff. I mean, total domination is what we should be seeing from everything that we have heard about this team in the offseason and the culmination of what it's become. And on top of that, Arkansas Pine Bluff being who they are, there is no reason why Texas Tech shouldn't absolutely destroy this game. And the only thing that concerns me would be if the team just hasn't quite gelled yet. But I don't think that's the case. And so the official score prediction I'm going to throw out, I'm going to say the Red Raiders pass the 70-point mark. It'll be 70-7 Texas Tech. That's 7 points coming, again, when the equipment staff is suited up. And nothing against those guys. It'll be a hard-fought 7 points for the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. Now let's go ahead and look around the Big 12. We'll go through each game individually, line by line, and make some score predictions. So first up, Jackson State at UCF. That is a 6 o'clock Thursday, 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN+. UCF, a 20.5-point favorite. It's the first game of the season in the second coming of Scott Frost. I predict UCF to struggle this season. That said, I don't think they'll struggle against Jack State. UCF 35-10 is my prediction. Stephen F. Austin at Houston. Houston, a 22.5 favorite. Game also is at 7 o'clock tonight, ESPN+. Houston, I expect to be much improved this season. That game, 51-7 in favor of the Cougars. Now, the premier game tonight, Nebraska versus Cincinnati. That'll be live from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Kicking off tonight at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Nebraska is a 6.5-point favorite. To be honest, I think Cincinnati is hiring a new coach after this season. I don't expect Cincy to be very good. Now, this could be the game that Scott Satterfield turns it around. Problem is Nebraska also, I think, should be improved under Matt Rule. Noted Patrick Mahomes impersonator Dylan Raiola will also be an improved quarterback this season. And Cincinnati might be able to catch them early before they really start to gel in the system. That said, though, I don't think they will, and Nebraska will take this one 21-17. I will be rooting like heck for Cincinnati, though. And then the last game tonight, UT Martin at Oklahoma State, 6:30 kickoff tonight on ESPN Plus. Oklahoma State 20-5 favorite. Now, I think this might be the end of the Mike Gundy era. They could come back because it would be the most Mike Gundy thing ever to, after going 0-9 in the Big 12 last year and having the offseason that they had, to still come and win 9 games somehow. This game here, it'll be a blowout in favor of Oklahoma State, 57-7. What does that mean for them overall? I don't know. I don't think it means anything. Next game, Wagner at Kansas. That is tomorrow, 6:30 on ESPN Plus. Kudos to you if you've ever heard of Wagner. I haven't. Kansas looked really, really good against Fresno State in week 0, and Kansas is going to win this one 57-3. Moving on now to one of the marquee matchups this week, Auburn at Baylor. It'll be a 7 o'clock Friday kickoff on Fox. Auburn, a 2.5-point favorite as they travel to Waco. Baylor finished really strong in the second half of last season, and I think they made some good moves in the portal. I think Baylor pulls the upset, 28-17. Georgia Tech at Colorado, 7 o'clock on Friday on ESPN. Georgia Tech, a 4.5-point favorite. I'll be interested to see what Colorado is this year. Georgia Tech, though, is looking to have a breakout season. I think Georgia Tech takes advantage of getting Colorado early and wins this one 28-24. Up next, Robert Morris at West Virginia. That game kicks off the Saturday slate of games, 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus. It is the first game of the second coming of Rich Rod at West Virginia. I don't know if he's going to be successful overall. I have questions because we've seen a lot of circumstances where coaches were successful in the past, but could not translate it to this era, the transfer portal and the NIL era of college football. But I think West Virginia takes care of business against Robert Morris, 45-3. South Dakota at number 22 ranked Iowa State. That game is 2:30 on Fox. Iowa State, a 14.5-point favorite. I expect ISU to play a lot better than they did in Ireland in week 0, and they'll take care of business 35-10. And their twin game, North Dakota at number 17 ranked Kansas State. That game is 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Same thing. The Kansas State dropped their opener against Iowa State. I don't think that is any indication of what Kansas State is going to be, regardless of how terrible they played. They played pretty poorly in Ireland. I expect them to play a lot better as well. 45-3 KSU. Portland State at BYU, a WCC revival. That'll be 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. BYU will be breaking in a new quarterback, but again, they'll be taking care of business. Portland State is just bad. Just a really, really bad football team. BYU 57-6. Up next, Northern Arizona at number 11, Arizona State. A classic border conference rivalry going back to the 1910s. That game will be will kick off the Big 12 after dark slate. 9 o'clock on ESPN Plus. That's going to be a bloodbath. 72-3 Arizona State. Next, Hawaii at Arizona. Hawaii is an intriguing team. 9:30 p.m. kickoff. The first of the Big 12 games being aired on TNT. Arizona is a 17.5-point favorite. It was a smaller spread before. That jumped up after Hawaii announced that their starting quarterback may not play this game. He may play this game too. It'll be a game time decision. Hawaii had a big win against Stanford. I believe Hawaii is going to cover the spread here. It's going to be Arizona 32, Hawaii 28. And then the nightcap, Utah at UCLA, a classic Pac-12 rematch. 10 o'clock from Fox. Utah, a 5-point favorite. A lot of people predicting Utah to be a dark horse Big 12 championship contender. If Utah is going to be better, it starts with this game, and I think they do take care of business. 28-16 for the Utes. And then the game that everybody has circled, maybe not for the right reasons, TCU at North Carolina, the beginning of the Bill Belichick era at North Carolina, 7 o'clock ESPN on Monday. TCU a 3.5-point favorite. Now, we'll pay attention. We'll watch and see what happens. I think North Carolina is going to be an absolute dumpster fire under Bill Belichick. And on the other side, I think TCU is set to have a Big 12 championship caliber kind of season. So we're going to say 35-13 TCU, and after this game, we'll sit back and just watch the crash and burn that will be Bill Belichick at North Carolina. So back when I first got my start in covering Texas Tech athletics, I was a beat writer for Viva the Matadors. Covered primarily Texas Tech football, Texas Tech baseball, a little bit of basketball during the early Chris Beard era. Mainly, though, I wrote a weekly opinion piece called One Thought, One Take, where I was presented with a thought about whatever was dividing the fan base that week, and I would give my opinion on it. Had such great articles, such as, is Cliff Kingsbury going to bring in the golden age of Texas Tech athletics, to why New Mexico should be the next candidate to join the Big 12. Absolute Pulitzer Prize winning material there. So without further ado, One Thought, One Take is back. So yesterday, in an article by Brett McMurphy of On3 Sports, Maryland AD James Smith was quoted as saying that the Big Ten is going to expand again, presumably to 20 teams by 2030. This comes after another report from Brett McMurphy that Virginia and North Carolina were both being targeted by the SEC and the Big Ten, meaning, of course, that our national nightmare has not ended and the desecration of our beloved sport will continue at the hands of the Big Ten and the SEC. Presumably, the top target for the Big Ten is Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame will never willingly give up independence. The ACC has been in a state, though, of internal disarray since the SEC first poached Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12 in 2021 when it joined the Pac-12 and the Big 10 in their alliance. Florida State has been very vocal in its disdain for the ACC, filing a lawsuit in 2023 in an effort to break the grant of rights that ties the conference together until 2036. And they did successfully negotiate their exit fee to be greatly reduced by 2030, meaning we could have major realignment announcements within the next 2 years. And frankly, that's being conservative, particularly regarding the ACC. I've also heard some rumblings regarding Kansas and the Big Ten, and we'll have to wait and see on that. By all accounts, though, it appears that the ACC is next on the chopping block. The ACC is the last original AQ6 conference that has been left mostly intact by the Big Ten and the SEC's big blitzkrieg-like conquest of college football. They have not had teams poached like the Big East, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 due to the long grant of rights, and while they did pick up Cal, Stanford, and SMU last summer, they certainly have not been a conference that has been able to take any teams that boosted their overall value. So how will the next dominoes fall? In my opinion, everything the Big Ten has done since 2021 has been an effort to lure Notre Dame away into the conference. For example, the Big Ten's very first move of this round of conference realignment was to take USC, who's a major Notre Dame rivalry, and UCLA. Why UCLA? General belief is that at the time was that the two top programs in the Pac-12 were USC and Oregon. If you remember when the SEC first got Texas and OU, there were discussions about how concerning it was that the SEC might go after Ohio State and Michigan from the Big Ten, Florida State and Clemson from the ACC, and then USC and Oregon, not UCLA, from the Pac-12. UCLA was never even really considered to be a poaching target by anyone at the time. Not to mention taking both USC and UCLA, two teams from Los Angeles, has never really been a part of the Big Ten's MO historically. The Big Ten has always gone after markets rather than teams, taking Rutgers and Maryland for the New York and Washington, D.C. markets. USC would have been more than enough to claim the LA market and to sell cable packages to the people of Los Angeles. So why not go after the Portland or Seattle market with Oregon? and Washington, which they did eventually, but it wasn't by their choice. They kind of begrudgingly accepted Oregon and Washington after they agreed to take almost no money. The answer is that USC needed its crosstown rival. UCLA was invited to snag USC. So what are the next moves? So far, every attempt to entice Notre Dame has come up short for the Big Ten, from adding important rivals such as USC to promises of larger shares of TV revenue. The simple fact is that Notre Dame is never going to give up independence, ever. And they also have the power to remain a part of major college football without having to join a conference. So the secret to getting Notre Dame lies elsewhere. And the secret to getting Notre Dame lies with killing the ACC. Notre Dame has the power to remain independent in football, but it does need a conference home for its non-football sports. If the ACC dies, Notre Dame's non-football sports will suddenly need a new home, and the Big Ten will be right there with open arms. This way, the Big Ten gets 5 or maybe even more Notre Dame conference games a year. Matchups like Notre Dame versus USC, Michigan, Ohio State. Fox will get a portion of these games when the Irish play on the road and will surely increase the overall value of the Big Ten. Notre Dame will retain its independence along with its undivided share of the college football playoff revenue and what will surely be a deal of all deals for all the non-football sports. The only issues are this. The Big Ten doesn't want to be the bad guy. This is why they sat quietly and let the SEC take the heat for the Big Ten's horrific 4x4x2x2 playoff plan. They also pushed the Big 12 is killing the Pac-12 narrative, despite being the conference that actually started realignment against the Pac-12 when they poached USC and UCLA. The other problem is, even with all that, Notre Dame still may not be interested. The Irish have made almost a sport of dangling a hook in front of the Big Ten and yanking it away like the State Farm fishermen. Also, if the ACC were to implode, the Big Ten won't be the only conference bidding for the Irish. Brett Yormark and the Big 12 will surely have a sweetheart deal to bring Irish basketball to the conference. The Big East, right behind them as well, would love to grab Notre Dame. Make no mistake, though, the death of the ACC may very well be the Big Ten's last chance to get pieces of the Irish's pot of gold. Now, one last thing before we get out of here. Texas Tech versus Duke in New York City. It was announced last Tuesday. Texas Tech Red Raiders, the Duke Blue Devils, Madison Square Garden. It's all happening on December 20th. It will be the Red Raiders' first visit since 2021, a game where they played Tennessee, a win, 57-52 in overtime over the Volunteers. Last time they played Duke was in the 2022 Sweet 16, Coach K's final season with the Duke Blue Devils. Red Raiders also met in the Jimmy V Classic in Madison Square Garden in the 2018-2019 season. That was a game that they lost 58-69. However, the Red Raiders would go on to appear in the national championship game that year against Virginia. This is a much-needed boost to what has been a lackluster conference schedule. Would still like a better home games, but it's hard to get teams to want to come to Lubbock just to get beat in front of 15,000. But that's it. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you could, please help me out. Subscribe to the channel, like the show. It helps the algorithms. It helps me. We're trying to get 50 followers before we start doing live YouTube shows on Wednesday nights and Sunday nights. Thank you so much. Red Raider football is happening. We'll be back after the game. We'll go live on Twitter X to talk about hopefully just the absolute domination of the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. This is the Flatland Sports Podcast. I am Christopher Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us. Wreck 'em Tech. We'll see you on the other side of the game.